Hello, and welcome back to It's a Scullion Thing. Back again, I see. Interesting choice. But hey, if this chaos makes you feel normal, we're happy to help. As you know, this is the podcast where chaos is hereditary, trauma is shared, and hygiene, well, in this story, it's very questionable. If this is your first time tuning in, fair play and buckle up. But if you're looking for peaceful stories about childhood nostalgia and gentle life lessons, you're in the wrong place, because this is not that. This is not the Waltons, folks. Close your eyes and picture the scene. 6 girls, 5 boys, 1 permanently wrecked mummy, all packed into a house that did technically have walls, but no such thing as boundaries, where personal space was a corner behind the sofa. And that's only if the dog didn't get there first. Sibling rivalry was less friendly competition and more a no-holds-barred cage match. And if you managed to get through the day with your own knickers, shoes or socks on, you were either very lucky or very sneaky. Now, add in the extras: rolling power cuts, daily riots, political unrest, and the occasional army tank parked outside your school. Yep, you're not in Kansas anymore, folks. You're in Andy time, and this is the Scullions. These are the legends, the first batch, the founding members of madness, Bridie's unruly army, all raised on holy water, hand-me-downs, and sugar sandwiches. If you know, you know. Now, I swear, all these stories are at least 95% true, with a wee 5% sprinkle of magic added, just to make them suitable for public consumption. I'm your host, Rona Scullion, the eldest Scullion grandchild. I grew up in that madhouse, surrounded by my aunts and uncles who were barely older than me. I heard all these stories growing up. I even lived through some of them. Just about. And I know I keep promising, but we will get to that. And trust me, my story, that will almost bring the house down. This podcast isn't just a nosy poke into our past. It's a love letter to family, community, and the beautiful unfiltered madness of West Belfast. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a story about kids running wild and their mummy just trying to hold it all together with a wooden spoon and blind faith? So grab a cuppa or something stronger, recommended, and strap in for a wild ride through the ups, downs and pure bedlam that is life with the Scullions. This is Belfast. This is my family. This is It's a Scullion Thing. This story is called Margaret and the Pea, a love story gone rotten. But before I go any further, as always, I have to warn you. This episode contains bad language, questionable hygiene, and some vegetable abuse. So, if you're easily offended or have a weak stomach, this is not the podcast for you. So you need to switch off now. You have been warned. So in this episode, I'm taking a wee bit of a different tact, a nicer, softer approach, because I'm introducing the first girl solo story. And our girls never did anything wrong. Oh no, they were good Catholic girls. So no one's going to try to hijack the ra or hotwire a car or steal the Sunday roast, because the Scullion girls were angels. And if you believe that, you really will believe anything They weren't angels. They were just better at not getting caught. This Scullion story stars, although I'm pretty sure she wished it didn't, stars a young Margaret Scullion. Margaret has since gotten married, and I'm pretty sure she did that so she could change her last name, so no one would know who this story was about. But we know Margaret. We all know. Margaret, married name unknown, is yet another one of my aunts. There's only about 10 years between us, which in Belfast family math means built-in babysitter / ghost storyteller / big sister. Margaret was the arty one. Creative, stylish, smelled like Impulse body spray, hint of musk. Well, most of the time, she had big ideas. Honestly, if TikTok or Insta had been around then, this girl would have been a major influencer. Unfortunately for our Margaret, the only TikTok back in the day was the sound of the electric meter eating your last 50p. Although, in the Scullion house, our 50p was on a string, so we could reuse it. Oh my god, I just realised. We were recycling before recycling was even a thing. Oh my god, we're such good people. But anyway, our Margaret would have been huge if you wanted to look like Toya Wilcox or Adam and the Ants. For my younger listeners, yes, like I have any, go ask the Google who Toya Wilcox is or Adam and the Ants. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Anyway, I digress. While Margaret would eventually become a glam goddess, in her early days, she was a wee bit minging. Yeah, she was minging. So while most of the Scullion stories start with a mystery or a crime, this one starts with a smell. A serious pong. One of those, what in the name of good God has died under the floorboards kind of smell. No one really knows or can agree on how this story was supposed to start. Pretty much like all the Scullion stories. The only thing they can agree on is the ending. As the story goes, the family started to notice a funny smell in the house. Now, my granny, Bridie Scullion, was always very house proud. She didn't have much, but she always had a clean house. This smell was moving around the house for days. It was driving her crazy. She couldn't figure out where the smell was coming from. She was bleaching everything to within an inch of its life. She was even hoovering the ceilings. You know, as you do. No matter what she did, the smell wouldn't go away. She was heartbroken. Slowly, but surely, they all started to realize that the smell was localized. You see, this smell moved. It sort of floated. The smell followed Margaret. Now, our poor Margaret had no idea. She couldn't smell a thing, which, ironically, was the problem. And when her brothers and sisters started pushing her away every time she sat next to them, she was starting to get a wee bit of a complex. This was going on for about a week or so. No one in the house would sit beside our Margaret. She kept getting pushed off the sofa onto the floor, away from them all. Ach, our poor Margaret at this stage was starting to look like a boneless breast of chicken, with the amount of baths and scrubbing she was doing, just to get rid of the smell that was following her around. Literally. Till one day, her brother, Seamus Scullion, remember? The rebel, without a clue, sat her down on the sofa and said, "What the hell's that smell coming from you?" Her Margaret was absolutely distraught. She started to say, I don't know. I can't smell anything. I've scrubbed and I've scrubbed. I've even used bleach to get rid of it. Yeah, so, again, this was in the 70s. And in the 70s, we took the same approach to health and safety as Donald Trump did during COVID. And I think that's enough said on that. Anyway, so Shimmy started sniffing around her like a dog. Now, this isn't something that Shimmy would normally do. And yes, I do feel I need to point that out. So Shimmy's sniffing around her. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Until he got to her face. He reached her face. He took a big sniff in. And suddenly, he threw himself backwards off the sofa. Jesus Christ, it's coming from her nose! Oh my God, that's broken! Shimmy roared. Poor Margaret was in floods of tears at this stage on the sofa. Then Shimmy started screaming, Ma! Ma! Mere! It's our Margaret's nose! It's stinking! Granny Bridie runs into the living room. She grabs Margaret's head and throws it back with such force that Margaret thought she had whiplash. Granny Bridie, at this stage, had practically crawled inside Margaret's nostril, searching for the source. And then she sees it. It was green. It was fluffy. And it looked like it had roots. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, Margaret, what's that up your nose? Well, her Margaret was mortified, totally mortified at this stage, because the rest of the family had come in and gathered around to see what was happening. And her Margaret, with her head in her hands, crying like a wee baby, confesses. It's a pea. Granny Bridie screamed. A pea? A pea? What in the name of divine Jesus are you doing with a pea up your nose? Margaret shrugged. I don't know. To this day, no one really knows why Margaret stuck a pea up her nose. Not even Margaret, who I have asked repeatedly, and she has no answer. So, off the A&E they went. The nurses took one look and gagged into their masks. They called the doctor for backup. The medical team dug in and attempted to pull it out with what looked like medieval cellotongs. They dug in and eventually pulled it out with a lot of coaxing. The smell hit the room like mustard gas. One nurse fainted. Yes, I'm pretty sure that is actually a true story. By the time they had managed to yank out the Marifat pea, which, by the way, we, and by we, I mean Northerners, we call hard peas, because they are just that, fucking hard. Mainly because we do not, and I mean do not, use the wee salt tablet to soften them. Okay. At this point, I need to give you an example. I know you love the examples. I give you an example of how strongly we feel about this no salt tablet rule. This one time, nope, not a band camp. This one time, my Aunt Monica brought home her new boyfriend for the first time. And of course, everybody loved him. He met the family, and they all got on like a house on fire. But wait, there's more. As I've said before, my granny always prepped the Sunday dinner the night before. So, Bridie had everything set out and ready to go for the morning, when this boyfriend thought he was being very helpful and noticed that Bridie hadn't put in the wee salt tablet to soften the peas. So he thought, excellent, I'll get some extra brownie points here. I'll save the day. So he pops in the tablet, and off to bed he went. Oh, well. The next morning, there was total chaos in that house. the boyfriend woke up to screaming. Again, not unusual in the Scullion house. So he jumped up and ran down the stairs, only to be met by a load of, yep, you guessed it, angry, snarling scullions. What the fuck did you do? They screamed at him. This poor fella nearly lost his life, so he explained that he thought he was helping. Well, that didn't help at all. I think it took a good few weeks before any of the Scullions spoke to him again. Because yes, we have covered this, remember? You do not fuck with a Scullion's food. So he very nearly became the boyfriend that never was. But why, I hear you ask, did he do this? Well, it wasn't his fault really. You see, he was a southerner. And apparently, southerners like their peas soft. Because, well, they're soft. Please don't shout at me. I don't make the rules. That's just what I've been told my whole life. Anyway. And northerners, well, we like our peas hard because, yes, you guessed it, we're fucking hard. Anyway, back to the hospital. The hard pea at this stage had been removed safely. The medical team all crowded around this pea. The pea had sprouted roots, obviously, in her nasal cavity. It was putrid. It was fluffy. And when the doctors and nurses asked her, "How did you do that, love?" our Margaret just shrugged. "I don't know." God love her. Well, what have we learned from this Scullion story? I think the main thing is our Margaret's sinuses can grow vegetables, which is very impressive. And also, just a reminder, we did learn it from this one, and we learned it from another one, but just in case you forgot, don't fuck with a Scullion's food. The end. And that's it for this week's episode of It's a Scullion Thing. I hope you weren't listening to this when you were eating your breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or anything, because, you know, it made me sick, so I can only imagine what it would do to you guys. If you laughed, cried, or dry heaved, just a wee bit, do us a favour. Like, follow, subscribe. Tell them you. And maybe don't stick vegetables in places they don't belong. Or do. Whatever you're into. I don't judge. Much. I'm not in a position to. I'll be back next week with another story from the Scullion Vault of Madness. Until then, stay weird. See you soon. Bye.